We start this hour with what could be some major, and I mean major, developments in the Alex Murdaugh case. At least 3 local TV stations in South Carolina where this trial is being had are reporting that the defendant will be taking the stand and testifying in his own defense. Now, these outlets are citing an undisclosed source close to the defense team. Court TV, though, reached out to Alex Murdaugh's defense team for comment. They told us this, quote, "We definitely have not made a decision on this issue, and I'm not sure where this information came from. It did not come from us." Okay, so that's coming straight from one of Alex Murdaugh's attorneys. We should always note that it's always a possibility, and you amazing courties know that a defendant will take the stand in his or her own defense. We see it often here on Court TV, actually, although it's more rare in trials in courthouses all across the country. Now, Alex Murdaugh, of course, knows this well. Remember, he's been a prosecutor. Remember, he's done defense work. He's been a lawyer for a long, long time, and he's going to be advised of his right to testify. And next hour, we're going to be discussing what could be the strategic move behind potentially what I guess is somewhat of a false narrative that's circulating in the press. Again, these outlets are not citing sources, but is somebody leaking something for purposeful reasons? We don't know. But we're going to look ahead at the day today. Alex Murdaugh's defense team is expected to begin this morning by cross-examining the forensic pathologist who performed the autopsies on both Paul and Maggie. Let's take you out to Colleton County, South Carolina now, where we find Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson to give us a recap of Monday's testimony and what we can expect today.
Julie, good morning. So the pathologist expected to take the stand once again today, but the defense will be cross-examining her after she described the brutal nature in which Maggie and her son Paul were executed.
If a shotgun wound is entering the top of the left shoulder, and let's say his head is turned like that, it's going to go right through the face. Right? But if his head is turned like that, it's going to spare the face and be able to go behind the face.
Dr. Ellen Reimer spent almost 2 hours on the stand detailing the gunshot wounds that killed Maggie and Paul.
We have 4 wounds to the body, and it made, 5 wounds, but if we count the left wrist as separate, but if the left wrist was connected to the other one, to one of the others, then it's there's only 4 shots to the body.
Alex Murdaugh in tears, sitting at the defense table during difficult and disturbing testimony.
What was the cause of death to a reasonable degree of medical certainty for Paul Murdaugh?
Shotgun wounds to head and chest. Shotgun wounds of head and chest.
And what was the manner of death?
Manner of death is homicide, which means death at the hands of another.
What was, to a reasonable degree of medical certainty, the cause of death for Maggie Murdaugh?
Maggie Murdaugh died of multiple gunshot wounds.
And what was the manner of death?
Manner of death is homicide, death at the hands of another.
Earlier, SLED's forensic scientist who performed the DNA testing on Alex's clothing and the evidence collected at the scene told jurors about unidentified DNA that was found underneath Maggie's fingernails.
The DNA profile was interpreted as a mixture originating from 2 individuals. That first scenario is Margaret Murdaugh and Claude C.B. Rowe contributed to the mixture, and the second scenario is Margaret Murdaugh and an unidentified, unrelated individual contributed to the mixture.
Were Paul and Alex Murdaugh excluded as contributors?
Yes.
12 jurors and only 3 alternates heard the key testimony on Monday after 2 jurors were dismissed at the start of week 4 after they tested positive for COVID.
None of us want to limit anything, but we're in a different paradigm, and both of us have a concern about getting this thing to the end without COVID causing it to fall apart.
Half our alternates have gone. We're 3 weeks in, 3 jurors down.
And Julie, today we're also expecting to hear more from law enforcement that were there at the scene and also conducted this investigation. We also could hear more testimony about financial crimes. And of course, that's the state's motive in this case. Julie?
All right, our Matt Johnson, he's reporting there from Colleton County, South Carolina. We'll be seeing Matt a lot more today as this riveting case continues unfolding. And we are so glad you were here waking up with us early this morning. We've got a real treat for you. Let's bring in a special guest now. He is a double board certified psychiatrist standing by in New York City. You've seen him on the show The Doctor's hosting. Dr. Dominic Sportelli is joining us. Welcome back, Dr. Dom. Always good to have you on Court TV. Appreciate you waking up so early, too.
Great to see you, Julie, and as always, great to be here.
All right, Doc, I want to play some clips for you. We had a big revelation with the trial this week with some audio that we previously were only able to listen to, but now we're seeing everything. We're seeing the video clip, and this is the second police interview that Alex Murdaugh did. And there's this moment that we had, quite a debate over Twitter that may still be going on. It started early in the trial, whether he's referring to what happened in the I or the they. I did him so bad versus they did him so bad, talking about his son Paul's death. So let's play the clip and hear. Seeing the body language, it really just brings the whole clip to life. Want to know what you're picking up on, Doc, when it comes to what Alex Murdaugh is doing here. Let's take a look.
And you definitely saw a traumatic picture, and I know it's not hard, or not easy. I know it's hard. And sitting here talking today is tough. It's just so bad. They did it so bad. He's such a good boy, too.
Okay, Dr. Dom, tell us what you're seeing here, please.
Very, very interesting, Julie. Now, listen, part of some interrogation techniques are to, in fact, get the person to become emotional. And the reason for that is when we become emotional, sometimes that judgment center of our brain kind of turns off and we become a little bit more primitive in our responses. And I'll tell you, I know what it sounded like to me, and it sounded like he said the word I. That's certainly what it sounded like to me. Part of me thinks that's what's happening here is that he's overwhelmed with emotion to the point of not thinking or planning or plotting or calculating the way that he is used to being. So it is possible that that brief overwhelm of emotion allowed him to say something that he potentially did not want to say.
The slip up. I know many folks are with you, Dr. Dom, and it's funny, we put it out on Twitter and others are saying, they hear they, you hear I. Of course, the defense team's going with they. The state is saying it's an affirmative I. We'll see what the jury thinks ultimately, but he is getting himself worked up, and it's funny, his emotions, it's kind of like a roller coaster when you watch him. And then watching the investigators is something else too, because they're very differential to him, and wanted to kind of play another clip where you can sort of listen and assess their body language and what they're doing with him. Remember, these are people that know him and have known him for years and have known his father and perhaps even his grandfather. And I've noticed in the courtroom during the trial, I'm hearing some of these investigators call him Mr. Alec or Mr. Murdaugh, and they're state witnesses. It drives me crazy, Dr. Dama. As a former prosecutor, I want to say, call him the defendant if you're a state witness. But check out this clip, and then we'll talk on the other side, please.
Signature.
Just write your name here. So, Alec, I've had situations where
It's not a big deal.
All right, sir. So he's got it, and he's taking care of that.
But I get it back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, sir. So when we spoke the other night, I got kind of a basic overview.
Yes, sir.
And it was pretty traumatic.
That's okay.
Yeah,
I know you
yeah.
need to ask me. You ask me what you need to.
Okay, so that was an abbreviated version of the clip I was referencing, but I think we kind of get the idea. And Alex Murdaugh, too, is sort of, I don't know, is he manipulating the detectives a little bit? Dr. Dom, what do you see there?
Julie, there's no question in that clip, there's no question that he's actually controlling a lot of what is going on.
Wow.
You know, think about what he's saying. He's saying, well, I'm going to get that back, right? Yes. And then he's saying, listen, it's okay. I understand the way you're acting. It's okay. I oblige to the way you're acting. It's okay. Continue. So he's sort of controlling and guiding that a little bit. Now, look, it's important to develop rapport with an individual when you're getting a history. But the truth is you can absolutely see that power and influence and what he's used to with regard to the power and influence in his life. Julie, I have to say something just to continue on this whole path, because I've been thinking about this case. And, you know, I can't help but think, you know, a lot of people assume that someone like Alex Murdaugh is a sociopath or a psychopath or a complete narcissist. But I came to this little conclusion, a theoretical conclusion, that what I'm seeing here is more of a Machiavellianism. There's something called a dark triad in psychology, and a dark triad is a personality blend of Machiavellianism, narcissism, and sociopathy combined. But here's the very important difference, and I think this is what the viewers are picking up on that are following this case, is that Machiavellian people, they tend to be power-seeking rather than attention-seeking, much more calculated and cunning, much more smart, detail-oriented, patient, diligent. They tend to play the long game, where a sociopath is very impulsive, and a sociopath can sort of lose their cool very quickly and tend to be more seeking of excitement. Now, that's very different than this. And what I'm seeing in Alex Murdaugh, theoretically anyway, is this Machiavellianism, this very cunning, calculated, detail-oriented, patient, diligent individual when it comes to a lot of these sort of discussions that he's having with authorities. I do see also these brief breaks of emotionality where he does tend to lose that control a little bit as well. But that also speaks to the fact that he might not be a complete sociopath. Because remember, a sociopath is very, very much without empathy. I still think he feels emotion here.